Hello, this is my channel Everything Reddit. Thank you so much for stopping by. I will try to post videos once a day. Now let's start this video. Posted by you, throwaway 677,433,749. AITA for not leaving my brother alone after he called my girlfriend a dishwasher? I am babysitting my little brother, 13, while my parents are visiting a friend of theirs abroad who's in her deathbed. My GF and brother got along pretty well the past few days. Last night, we went bowling and then had dinner at a restaurant afterwards. It was a great night because we had so much fun. We were walking back home after the dinner. My GF and brother were arguing about Stranger Things. It started as a fun little debate at first, but when my girlfriend corrected him, he didn't like it, so he told her, "What do you even know? You are just a dishwasher." I was shocked and furious at him. When he saw our reactions, he tried to backtrack, saying it was just a dumb joke that he didn't mean. I told him to shut up and went to catch my girlfriend because she walked away. I apologized for what he said and told her that he will do the same thing. I knew that an apology wasn't enough, so I promised her I will give him a stern talk and ground him for the remaining time he'd be staying with us. She said that I didn't have to apologize because it wasn't my fault and that his apology wasn't going to be sincere, so she asked me to leave him alone to teach him a lesson about not disrespecting women and throwing sexist insults. I told her I can't do that because it was late and I wasn't comfortable leaving him alone, especially since it was a 20-minute walk. She suggested I call an Uber for him because she wasn't going to walk back with him. I refused again because he was my responsibility and I couldn't let him go with a stranger because if something happens to him, my parents would never forgive me. She sarcastically told me it felt nice being supported by her boyfriend when she literally just got insulted. She said that my brother wasn't a child and that many teenagers ride in Ubers alone, but since I wasn't interested in going with her, she'd call one for herself. During the walk back home, I told my brother that if he insulted my GF or anyone else in my presence, he could forget that I am his brother. He started crying, but I was so angry that I told him to save his tears because he should have regretted what he said because it was disrespectful and not because I threatened cutting him off. I informed him that he would not be allowed to leave the room except for the bathroom or to eat until our parents come back, so he kept sobbing the whole way back. When we arrived, my GF had just been dropped by her Uber. It was very awkward because they both were angry at me, and when we entered the house they directly went to the rooms and closed the doors. So now I can't sleep and had been just lying on the couch wondering what the duck was I supposed to do. Now on to the next story. Posted by you, Serious Sapling. AITA for having rules about our daughter? My wife and I, 30s, recently had our first child, a girl. My wife is a BIPOC, I am white. We are in the US. Our rules around our daughter boil down to trying to raise a biracial daughter in a supportive environment. Stick to positives, words of affirmation. We don't want her internalizing things like being called silly for doing normal baby things. Avoid names, terms with racist connotations. Monkey is not on the table, regardless of context. Edit. Like I said, monkey as a name, descriptor for her isn't allowed. The no context threw people off. Yes, you can point at a monkey and say, "Look, a monkey." Comparing her to one is what we're not allowing. No excessive pressure to perform. If she doesn't want to smile, that's fine. If she's at the cusp of a milestone, let her achieve it organically. Cheering, but no pushing. I also requested that my parents, 50s, divorced, read a book or two about raising BIPOC children, or about racism in the US in general. I read these books as well. I try and make all requests sensitively, as well as any rule reminders. My mom's reception to the books was a bit flat, but she did, as far as I know, read a book or two. We did have to sit down once just to review the rules: neutral location, after an activity, crap sandwich, approach of compliment, concern, compliment. As an adult, I've realized she's the guilt trip, passive-aggressive type of person. My wife's parents have not been an issue on these fronts. My dad recently visited while she did her first good solid standing during his visit, organically, and was right at the cusp of taking steps unsupported. Videos, photos were sent to family. My mom came yesterday. From the start she went hard on, walk to grandma. We redirected, move to her play area, walk to my wife or I, etc. My mom continued, and my daughter eventually took her first steps towards my mom. After the visit, my wife and I talked. We were unhappy because it was coerced so strongly and almost felt purposeful. Like my mom was on a mission. Note: wife's parents there for first good crawl, my dad just here for solid standing. I'm sure there was a bit of a sting over our daughter walking towards my mom as well though. So I texted my mom to reiterate that we want our daughter to hit her milestones organically. My mom's response felt a bit flat, so I added, because honestly we felt a bit robbed by what you did, and don't want it to happen again. My mom's response was, it wasn't her intention. It was just her reaction to our daughter's standing. She feels like she's under constant scrutiny. She barely gets to see our daughter. Maybe she should just stay away for everyone's sake. I just responded with, I'm sorry you feel that way. We still would love to see you at planned get-together. Which I know isn't an actual apology. So, AITA for having rules about my daughter? AITA because I responded flatly to my mom's manipulative response? AITA for feeling robbed by the coercion to walk to grandma versus even just walk in general. Edit 1. I've set up a call to chat with my mom to clear the air and see whether there's a way forward. I've absolutely taken to heart everyone's comments, and I've tried to respond to some of them. There's more nuance than I could include, but at the end of the day the YTA are rolling in without stop, so I'm examining my parenting and everything, and working to improve. Edit 2. I lost the comment, but someone asked if I was really learning from this, because I was only responding to the NTA or NAH comments. Ironically, I guess I wanted to start in a safe space, and take baby steps. I think some of the nuance and context was lost in translation, and those comments I think either picked up on that, or again just felt like a safe place to start with my learning, change. But, big but that has not stopped me from re-evaluating myself, the situation, our rules, etc. I also get how red herring the whole books on racism thing sounded, since it didn't apply to this direct situation. For the people that asked, yes, my dad read them, and his response was much more engaged and accepting, which may have affected my perception of my mom's response. My dad and my relationship with him is a whole different story, and something I'm going to include in my therapy as well. I get that some people think it's over the top, but 2020 taught me a lot about myself and where I was in my development with acknowledging racism and my own white fragility, and where my parents were. It was necessary. My in-laws were not assigned reading about racism, though books specifically on biracial, black and white children could be helpful. So, if anyone cares, I'm setting up a consult with a counselor, therapist, because I need to work through my relationship with my mom in the short term, and my anxiety and controlling behaviors in the longer term. I see these behaviors in myself, and I want to correct them. I don't know how my mother-son relationship is going to go, but we want to foster the granddaughter-grandmother relationship if we can. We are making sure there is nuance to the rules. I think this part was lost, but the silly rule was just that we didn't want that as her term of endearment. Maybe that's still too controlling on its own, but we totally agree that a toddler acting funny, goofy, silly gets to be called silly. She can want to be silly, etc. The monkey thing was also not our birds aren't real thing, but we're trying to figure out a more nuanced approach because at some point, it's likely she will completely and innocently, as a child, want to play like a monkey, and we don't want to shut down that creativity. On that note, I also don't want to be a helicopter parent or bulldozer parent. We're working to make sure that we create a safe place, not a bubble. We don't want our daughter to be treated as internalized fragility, and she'll need to be able to deal with life's challenges on her own.